Our struggles and who we are, who we show up as, they make us better. They make us the best. And so sometimes if you're not sharing those struggles or sharing that part of the journey, it's almost that idea of it's too good to be true. And so your customers may be thinking that if you're trying to make everything perfect. So your product is 90% done and your email sequence is written, your offer is built, but something just like feels off, not broken, just not perfect. So you don't send it. You tweak, you redesign, you rewrite, and 3 weeks pass. Nothing is done. Nothing is launched. Nothing is out there. No one's buying it because it's not for sale. And meanwhile, your competitor, that person you're watching on Instagram with a mediocre product compared to you, launched last week and made their first 10 sales. ADHD entrepreneurs live in a specific paradox. And today, that's exactly what we're talking about. Why you're avoiding getting your product launched and how to finally stop the avoidance of making those sales. And most importantly, making your business profitable. Let's dive into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yo, it's Alyece, say it right, no cap. ADHD CEO, yeah, we run this track. Systems that slap, brains built different. We make sales in our sleep, yeah, the hustle's efficient. This ain't fluff, nah, this is strategy raw for the ADHD. Minds breaking every law. Hit subscribe, don't miss a single show. We're running on dopamine, let's go. Let's go.
So we move fast, right? We ship ideas really quickly and we iterate them on the fly. But when we care about something, when it matters, when it represents us and our work, we often freeze. And that's not necessarily your ADHD, that's perfectionism. And perfectionism isn't really about standards, okay? It's about fear that people will see your work and judge it or judge you or reject you or find that you're not credible or you're lacking somewhere. And that cost of perfectionism for entrepreneurs is really brutal because it's revenue that doesn't get made. It's customers who never find you. It's impact that never happens. And so it's playing small because small feels safer than imperfect. And we've done so many episodes on the fear of rejection and rejection sensitivity to dysphoria. So definitely go check them out. But you often believe if it's not perfect, it reflects badly on me. And this is really a sneaky belief, okay, because it feels true. If your website has a typo, people will think that you're careless or you don't know how to spell, right? If your course isn't totally comprehensive, people will feel like they got ripped off or they didn't get their money's worth. If your email list or your email isn't perfectly written, you are worried people are going to think it sounds unprofessional or they're going to unsubscribe. And so what's actually true is people don't always expect perfection. I know we think that they do in our brain, but they don't. They expect authenticity. They expect you to show up with something valuable. And perfectionism is like this internal standard that nobody actually wants. It's you putting pressure on you. I'm going to talk a lot about this and Flow First Thinking, the book that's coming out later this year. And we'll talk about exactly how to address that. We're going to talk about some of that today. If you haven't already jumped on the wait list for that, definitely do that in the show notes. But the whole concept is about working with your brain instead of against it. And when you realize that belief of if I'm not perfect, people aren't going to want to work with me, that entire belief is what is holding you back in your business. And that means putting it out there before it's done, putting it out there 80% finished. I have an 80% rule. Not necessarily when it's perfect. You can always go back and make it better. But perfect never ships is what I used to say all the time when selling physical products. Perfect never ships. If you're selling a digital product or you're a service provider, shipping is you showing up, being out there, putting it for sale. And so think about auditing your last 3 launches. And if you haven't had 3 launches, audit your last 3 project ideas. If they're still sitting in your Google Drive, never got launched, never actually sold them, go look at them. Honestly, were they slowed down by you trying to make them perfect? Because what happens is when you spend too much time trying to make it perfect, you either get overwhelmed and never complete it, obviously, AKA it never gets for sale, or you get bored with it and it never gets launched and you go start something new and the cycle repeats. So think about this as a whole. Are you telling yourself that it's going to reflect badly on me? Another thing that I very often see when we're talking about, an entrepreneur that's been working on something forever and it's still not out there, more features means better products. So we keep adding to it and adding to it. And one more thing, trap. You're ready to launch your course. It's been ready, but you think I should add one more module or one more workbook or one more bonus. And each addition feels like it makes the product better, but it pushes your launch further and further away. And so our brains specifically struggle with this because we can see all the possibilities, right? You're not lacking creativity as an ADHD entrepreneur. All the ways something could be better. I used to get in a lot of trouble for this, by the way. I would find the holes, I still do, in plans and projects and other people's things. And they're not always really receptive to that, FYI. But all the value we could add. And so this is honestly the entire reason I created the Focused and Free membership, because we only can combat that by building in accountability and deadlines, even if they're fake deadlines just for us that can't move. And doing this as an entrepreneur, when you are the person in charge of the deadlines, when you are the person in charge of your work, it's very easy to keep making that excuse. But when you have a community watching and a deadline set and you ship it or you get it out there into the world, you're good. You're gravy. You can always make it better. And so a way for you to kind of work through this, I want you to list out everything you want to include in either your next project or what you've got launched right now, and cross out everything that's not in the core offer. Okay, that's your 1.0 version. But I know this from experience. When I first launched my academy, I had so many modules in there because I was like, man, I know about this. I know about this. I know about this. I can add this. I can add this. And all I did was overwhelm the hell out of people. That's all I did. And you're probably doing that too. So think about this. Is that part of the reason you're just sitting on perfecting? Is it that you feel like it needs more? More than likely, it doesn't. All a course or a program or a product needs is to get from point A to point B. You don't want your ADHD brain to give them point F and L and N and Z and really distract people. And the last belief that I see happens all the time, because this is the whole paradox, right? Belief 1, belief 2, belief 3 that you're telling yourself here. Number 3 is, if I wait a little longer, I'll be ready, or I'll know exactly what to say. And waiting for certainty is like waiting for the perfect weather, right? You never know. The weatherman comes on the TV and he tells you what to expect, but it's almost never accurate. There's always another pattern coming or a surprise cold front or whatever. You're not going to feel more confident about your offer if you wait. You're going to feel more afraid, because the longer you sit with it, the more you second guess it, you're going to continue to either talk yourself out of it or cause just this fear. And so excellence happens when you get feedback, when you see real people interact with your work, when you iterate based on data, not your internal doubts. And so again, this is like literally what I teach inside the academy is micro testing and iteration. Launch it, measure it, adjust it. Don't wait till it's perfect to do that, because I promise you might think it's perfect and then you're going to still have to adjust it. So think about, what would you launch this week if perfectionism wasn't a factor? What would you put out there in the world? And so there's a lot of societal beliefs around a lot of this, right? People in general think that everything has to be polished and professional. Corporate culture just has taught us that. Everything gets multiple rounds of review. Everything gets fact checked. Everything gets buttoned up. We have a meeting to have a meeting to have a meeting. We have an email about that meeting. But your business isn't a corporation, especially if you're a solopreneur. It's an expression of you, your values, your approach. The most magnetic entrepreneurs I know have imperfect brands, typos in emails, casual language, real life showing through. And their customers love them more for it because they know who they're doing business with. Another societal belief we could just crap on is, if it's not award winning, don't release it. That's bullshit wrapped in aspiration, okay? Because I'll tell you right now, you don't need to win awards to help people. You don't need to be the best to be valuable. You need to be useful, needed, and real. And do we want to be the best? Yes, we do. We always want to be the best, okay? Who doesn't want to strive to be the best? But if you're holding your business back or you're holding yourself back, waiting to be the best, that could be forever. And so that's part of the reason I created the Unmasked community, which is my free Telegram community, to just drop in real moments of my life and the shit show that it could be sometimes. Because, our struggles and who we are, who we show up as, they make us better. They make us the best. And so sometimes if you're not sharing those struggles or sharing that part of the journey, it's almost that idea of it's too good to be true. And so your customers may be thinking that, if you're trying to make everything perfect. And other entrepreneurs aren't waiting for perfection. They're waiting for a solution. They're waiting for help. They're waiting for someone to show up and say, I figured it out. Here's what works. They don't care if it's wrapped in a perfect packaging. Okay. And so I remember I created an entire course. This is probably a year and a half ago that I never launched. It's still sitting in my Google Drive somewhere. And I was waiting until the videos were, like professionally produced or something, until the workbooks were designed perfect, until I had testimonials to prove it worked. Someone asked me one day, when will you know it's ready? And I couldn't answer. There was no like arrival point, ending point, because the honest answer was probably never. It was never going to feel ready. I would always see one more thing I could do or fix or make better. And so I let that hold me back for way too long. And so after that, I had to just bless and release that project because it was a mind twister for me. But after that, I launched as is, imperfectly, homemade videos if needed to be, workbooks that I put together in Canva, probably had typos in them. But the response shocked me. Not because people said it was perfect, but because people said it was exactly what they needed. And it turns out that perfect and effective are not always the same thing. And so I want you to think about this. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 bullet points. If you've never listened to any of my episodes, I'm super tactical. So I hope you have a pen and paper. If you don't, that's okay. You can subscribe to the podcast, download the episode, come back, listen to it later. Again, okay. Define good enough before you start. So if you've got that project that you've been putting off forever, you haven't gotten it launched, you're like, I don't know when I'm going to do this, but probably never. Define what good enough looks like before you even start it. So this will remove that moving target problem. You sit down before you build and you decide what's the minimum viable version of this? What does it need to include? What's nice to have, but not essential? What's nice to have, but you're adding it because you're scared? This is like a core principle of our ADHD brains, especially because we need external structure. You can't rely on feeling when someone or something's done. Okay. You have to decide in advance. So an outline of what the product is or what the service is before you start on it and work from that. Strategy 2, set a launch date and treat it like a deadline. Okay. Fake deadlines are so important for ADHD brains. We respond to external deadlines differently than internal. I'll do this eventually type things. So the deadline is real. It has consequences. Your business date is real too. Okay. It just needs to feel real to your brain. Block it on your calendar. Tell someone, make it public. I cannot tell you how many things I have done, how many workshops I've done, launches I've done, masterclasses I've done, where I created a graphic with the date and put it out there that this is happening on this date before I even knew what was actually in the product. Because once I make it public, I know my fear, right? My fear of being laughed at or rejected is not going to allow me to miss that deadline. So your ADHD brain will activate differently when there is a deadline that's imminent and witnessed by other people. Strategy 3, give feedback on your 80% version, okay? Not your polished one. So when it's 75, 80% done, get it out there. Real feedback, not your own internal perfectionism. Show your work to someone who, a previous client, a business bestie, whatever that is, a mentor, if you have one. I hope you do if you're in business. But this is the time to get feedback now while you can still improve it. That feedback will be 10 times more valuable than feedback on your finished product. And you'll actually get it finished because you have data to guide you on the last final improvements, right? So by doing this, maybe a lot of the things you thought you needed to finish, they don't even mention. So it's not really missing. It's just missing in your brain. And you can avoid wasting time on that stuff. Strategy number 4, this kind of reframes your brain, but use launch and iterate language when talking to yourself about it because you're not trying to get it perfect. Okay. You're on version 1.0. You can launch 2.0 later, but you're committing to this version based on the feedback you got from strategy 3. And know once it's launched, you are going to launch 2.0 or 1.1, whatever your version comes down to, based on feedback from 1.0. So what I mean by that, get it out there, get it launched. I'm getting it out there on this date. And then 2.0 will happen in 2 months based on the feedback from the people who bought it. Every successful software company does this. Every app you use launched imperfect ones and they improved and updated based on real user language, real people. right? You can do the same thing with your product, your course, your membership, whatever it is. Let people know you are in, you're getting the founding rate. I'm so excited. And then as you launch 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, the price can go up because it's getting more and more perfect. And then strategy number 5, remembering that perfectionism is about you. It's not about them. This is the permission you probably need. Okay. Your perfectionism isn't protecting your customers, it's protecting your ego. Your customers don't need perfection, they need solutions, help, clarity, your expertise. Okay. They don't need perfect, they need you. And so you need to put this on a sticky note or something, your screensaver. But excellence means launched, means staying safe. All right. So here's your operational move right now. First, right now, I want you to write down the project you've been waiting to launch. Might be one that's 80 to 90% done, might be 20% done, might be just on a bunch of sticky notes. I want you to set your launch date for 14 days from now, non negotiable. Now, at the time of this going live, that is the week of Black Friday. That is the absolute perfect time for you to launch a new product. Do a cleanup pass, fix the obvious things, leave the tweaks, write your launch announcement. I have an entire course called Slay Your Business. You can check that out. I'll put it in the show notes for you, but it is everything you need to know about making the biggest cash month yet, Black Friday week. You need to write it right now so you're committed. Invite feedback from your community. Okay, people who get it, not people who will make you more perfectionist. But if you can commit this second to finishing that product and launching it 14 days from now, this could be your biggest month yet. This is where people's wallets are out. Black Friday week's the perfect time. Perfectionism isn't excellence, okay? It is fear wearing a professional outfit. Excellence is shipping something good, is getting it out there, getting feedback, improving, shipping it again. Your customers are waiting for version 1.0, not version perfect. And the version you ship this week or 2 weeks from now will change someone's business. Your ADHD perspective on getting things done faster, better, differently, people need that. People need that. Okay. So, as always, if you got any value out of this episode at all, leaving a review is the absolute best compliment you can give. It takes 3 seconds, literally takes 3 seconds. And I appreciate every single one of them. I read every single one of them. Make sure you subscribed so you never miss an episode. We actually have some really fun guest episodes coming up. And as always, if you are going to do the action items and you're going to set that launch for Black Friday week, I want you to shoot me a DM. Take a screenshot of you listening to this. Throw out your stories. Tag me at socially.awesome on IG. Send me a DM and say, I just listened to episode 189 and I am launching this product in 2 freaking weeks. I'm ready. Let's go. I want to hold you accountable where it matters and help you make sure that a launch actually happens. And that's exactly what we do inside the membership. So until next time, make it simple, make it social, make it awesome. Thanks, guys.